The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network. We have breaking news. Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right. They are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY for 20% off and free shipping. It's time to tame your mane. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to all your stubble and trouble with Manscaped Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. That's right, face grooming doesn't need to be hard. Get 20 different beard lengths in just one guard. Plus, it's waterproof, so you can shave in the shower to avoid all that hair in the sink. The titanium-coated T-blade is tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to single-stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. So make sure you get 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com by using the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Once again, that's 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com.
We are back, another special episode. After last night's Combat Deviants, we are here with the Athlete Spotlight and being joined with me this afternoon, this morning, depending on where on the planet you're at today.
We're at noon. We're at noon.
We are being joined by BKFC heavyweight Mr. Joshua Watson, who is fresh off of a absolutely beautiful knockout of Mr. Forget that guy's name. F him. That was beautiful, my friend. We were on here talking about it before the fight. I so wanted you to stretch this guy's lights out. You absolutely delivered, my friend. I definitely got to get you a beer one of these days, man. That was beautiful.
Jack Daniels. I don't drink beer, but I know. No, everybody does the same thing. Like, oh, I owe you a beer, and I'm like, whiskey.
I thought it was funny because Eddie was talking about it last night. He's like, it's the girl who he laid his hands on, probably doing XYZ right now. I'm like, if anything, she probably needs to buy Josh a shot or something. You know what I mean? Next time Robert runs into you, like, here you go, brother. Jack's on me.
Right.
But I mean, let's walk it through it. Obviously, you got hit. You got a big cut over the eye. He made a mistake, and you made him pay for it.
Right. I mean, watching the video, I haven't done the full breakdown of it, but I don't know. It's weird because, like, the way the camera angles were, again, he was the favorite. He was the person who they brought in. A lot of the camera angles were facing him, so you don't really get to see what and when I got punched to cause the hole in my forehead. Like, all I know is during the first round when I dropped him, I stepped back, and once I separated from him, that's when there's a big waterfall came down over my face. I was like, oh, shit, I'm cut. Like, I didn't even, you don't feel it when you're doing it. And,
you feel this warm stuff coming, right?
Not even warm. It was just like, I just saw it and I was like, oh shit, I'm bleeding good. So yeah, like, it's weird though, because it wasn't like a boom, he hit me and I was like, fuck, that hurt or anything of that nature. It just split me.
And so at that point in time, it's just like, I got to get him, right?
Yeah, no, right when he dropped, my coach had said that I had 13 seconds. And I knew he wasn't done on that hit. And I was like, all right, get up. Like, let's start it. Like, Mergliata, get out of the way. Like, start it so that I can attack him, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting out of this, into the second round. I don't know if it's going to be stopped because, again, I can't see my face. I just know that there's a lot of blood. I mean, I've only been cut a bunch of, like, little cuts. I've had a grand total before this fight, maybe 11 stitches. And none of them being big. They were all like, oh, a little 1 or 2 here, 1, 2, 3 here, nothing major. So like I've never had to, not saying like the blood or anything of that nature is going to impede me or like scare me, because there's that factor when you're fighting and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of blood and everybody gets, scared and nervous about it. And that wasn't the case. I was just more so nervous that it'd get stopped because I couldn't see how bad it was. I could only see that there was a lot of blood. So,
hey man, it's one of these things where you get to the point and it's just like, you get cut, you get hurt, and then you get to the point where you get the perfect punch to land in the perfect spot and put them away, man.
And it's funny too, because I mean that perfect punch was the exact same punch in the first round too. It was the exact same combos, same setup, same everything. Just in the second round, it landed a whole lot cleaner.
And when you hit him with it, you knew he was done?
100%. Like the first round, like I said, like I knew he was getting back up on that one. In the second fight, like leading up to it, like we joked around. I've been doing the whole stay down thing for a while. My knuckles have had stay down on them for 15-ish years, but I don't have that picture of me standing over somebody holding them up, stay down. So I knew, I'm like, if I drop him, I have to do it. Like I need that iconic picture. And when he went down, I knew he wasn't getting up. The connection on that was so solid. So I was like, here's my moment. And even if it wasn't my moment, even if he possibly had gotten up from that, cool, whatever. It's more of a statement at that point, because it's like, no, stay down. And then if I drop him again, it's like, oh, stay down. You don't want to get back up. So even if I was wrong and he got back up, it just gives me an opportunity to do it again and kind of make it more of a point.
But now you got that one. You got the big win, man. How excited were you after the fact? It's just one of these things.
I was so stoked. I mean, I didn't. Part of it seemed like as if I almost didn't believe in myself, like outside looking in.
Did I just do that?
But I mean, outside looking in, I knew I could and would do that. Like that wasn't the thing. Like the entire time through camp, the entire time preparing, I was confident. I knew what I could do, and I knew what he wouldn't be able to handle. So I knew if I touched him, it was over. So it wasn't so much that. It was more so just the realization that I knew that this is like going into it. Like I knew this was going to change my life. And simply like in the fact of just multiple people, eyes on me. And, like my future in the sport, just kind of like not necessarily a swan song, but like it's definitely, I mean, I really don't foresee me creating as big of a wave doing anything. Because I don't have a shit ton of time left on my career. So, I don't foresee myself doing anything bigger and better at any time. So it's just like whatever. Like, I knew that.
I guess that as I guess we look, if you're saying that this is the end, looking back, that's probably going to be the moment that kind of sticks out for you right now.
100%.
You're sitting there saying swan song, but it's probably more like the thing that you'll remember most.
The high point. It's very, very much the high point.
Now, obviously, you're sitting there saying, it's one of these things where doing something like that, it could possibly change your life. Do you feel like you're going to get some better opportunities on multiple levels moving forward, or you just feel like everything's going to be the same?
No, I think going into this one, or no, back it up. I ran into Dave and Nate at the tryouts that were held at Mr. Olympia a few months ago. And I talked to him, and I told him, like, it was cool because Mr. Velman, he was like, oh, when are you fighting for me next? I'm like, I don't know, whenever you put me on. Isn't that you like, don't you say that? And he joked and was like, no, that's Nate's job. And I was like, yeah, but you can tell him to put me on something. I'm pretty sure he listens to his boss. But I made it pretty clear to them that I wanted You know, I don't have much of a timeline left. And, you know, the phrase I've been using is I got one more fight camp left in my body. I have tons of fight left in my heart. Like I'm more likely to take a short notice fight and just fight for fun than I would take a 8-week camp and beat the fuck out of my body, because my body just doesn't hold up to that no more. So like they both kind of knew where I was coming from in that, and that's kind of how, I mean, shit, even before McElroy, I was telling myself, I'm like, oh, is this my last fight? Because again, I'm getting older. You know, I'm past that point in my mind of like striving for. It's no career. Like, I mean, I'm years past this being my career. So
more like your overly obsessive hobby.
yeah, exactly. You know, like people just like, why the fuck do you do this? You know, I bartended last night and people are like, and you enjoy it. And I'm like, I love it. You know, like,
Unless you put yourself in that situation, that they're never going to get it.
Exactly. You know, and like my first 2 fights, you know, without, you know, exposing too much. I mean, like I took essentially, because I'm a gaming bartender. I make pretty decent money out here in Las Vegas. I essentially, my first 2 fights, I took a pay cut, taking my weekend off and fighting, because I make decent money. So it's not about the money. It's not about like moving my career forward. It's about, you know, hey, I'm going to take a weekend off. I'm going to utilize some of my vacation time and go fight somebody. You know, it's a passion, not a fucking life or a thing of that nature.
Financial choice. It's something you do because it's a fire that burns within you.
Exactly. And I don't even understand my fire. I don't get it, because, you know, like I said this before, McElroy, I was like, oh, this probably should be my last fight. As we were getting closer to it, everything was dialed in, everything felt amazing, and I was like, this probably isn't going to be my last fight. Handled him.
I think you touch on something. It's the craziest thing. I think when athletes get into this older state, I think both mind, body, spirit, all kind of aligns in this level, and you're able to kind of let all those other anxiety goes, things drawn you, and you're able to just compete at the level you should be. And sometimes it takes an athlete a long time to get to that point, and sometimes the guys can put it all together real fast.
I mean, yes and no. My anxiety with fighting is 10 times higher now. Compared to what it used to be. I was a whole lot more calm. My old coach, he actually used to give me shit because I would go into fights just calm. Like my first
Stone cold killer calm, right?
My first like 3 or 4 fights, I was chill. And and he'd be like, I don't know about this motherfucker. Like he just sits here and doesn't care. Whereas he's like, he'd had a shit ton of fights and he always stresses out about all of them. But as I get older, you know, like I have a job. I wouldn't necessarily say a career, but like, you know, I have to pay the bills and I can't hurt myself. So that's a worry. But it's weird is that because I'm at the end of my career, I don't want to finish off. Like, you know, like a lot of people notice, like, you know, there was a big 8-year gap from my last MMA fight to my first bare knuckle. And I think because of how that fight ended was the reason for the gap, because it's like, I probably should stop fighting. It's not good for me. And, you know, but that passion still burns and, you know, I'm still wanting to do it. So it makes it hard to walk away from. So, you know, like just, you don't want to end on that knock or getting knocked out. You don't want to end on like, you know, like after I had that first fight with Brian Etchison, like I wasn't going to end on getting the number 2 all-time knockout in BKFC history. You know, I'm like, I have to redeem myself. And that was the whole point of the McElroy fight was redemption. Like that's all I wanted was redemption. And, you know, and I could have, like in my mind, I could have walked away. But because I did it in such a fashion, I had thousands of people being like, you can't leave on that note. And so to that,
you have another one where you can't leave on this note.
Can't leave on this note, exactly. You know, like which I mean, I'm not arguing. I'm not even, because in my head, I want to end my career in either on my terms. And my terms are literally, I want to fight in front of my friends and my family. I want to fight either in Las Vegas, but I would rather preferably fight in New England. And, you know, like, fuck, if I could fight in Maine, it'd be over. Like, just, I would sell out. I could sell out the Civic Center, or I think it's called something else now. I've been gone for so long, but I'd sell that out myself, you know? So that's where I want to end it. Not in New Mexico or Montana.
Not in New Mexico, not in Miami, not in Florida.
No, dude, like
not in South Carolina.
Like, I appreciate the fuck out of anybody who comes out and sees me fight. You know, like in Montana, I had a few people show up just because they were like, "Hey, we got nothing going on this weekend." They booked a flight and they came on out. They're like, that was rad. New Mexico had a few people show up both times, and it's cool, but it's not the same.
It's definitely not the same when you're in your own backyard.
It's not the same. And I mean, like, even, you know, like if you go back and look at my MMA fights, like back in 2007, maybe 8, I had my second pro fight, and me and John Jones were on the same card. It was his first pro fight ever. And you don't notice it when you're fighting it, but like when you watch the video and you can hear thousands of people chanting Watson, chanting your name afterwards, and it's like, holy shit, it's surreal. And, you know, and that's the part that makes it extra anxious, because I look, you know, like I want to make all those people proud. I want to make them all happy. I want to make them, you know, like, if I lose, they'll continue to support me. That's not what I'm saying. I just, you know, like, because they look at me for so much, I don't want to let them down. And that causes the anxiety. Like, I didn't have that anxiety at all 10 years ago. Now I do.
It's rough, man. I definitely hear you there. It's one of those things where you're putting more pressure on yourself because you want to do it for them.
Right. Exactly.
But you were just talking about John, so I want a quick pivot real here. What are your thoughts on him coming back, and do you think he's gonna help rekindle the buzz around the UFC?
It's long overdue, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's his own worst enemy at this point in time.
Yes, of course. And I mean, like, you look at but
you're talking about redemption. I think he probably has the biggest pressure of redemption on his back right now with what's going to happen, you know, over this next year.
But that's the problem, though, is he's still at that point. I mean, he doesn't have that pressure. He performs. He fights. He's fucking the best athlete in fighting there is, you know.
You put him at the top of the pound for pound list, because everyone does this pound for pound nonsense. Do you feel like he's one of those guys that you have to talk about?
100%. I mean, like, it's hard because he fights at the top of the weight classes, so he can't fuck around with the short, with the smaller, and the bigger. You know, realistically, I mean, after Volkanov, I mean, he didn't win that fight, but he's still pound for pound one or two.
Yeah,
you know,
I think it's funny. People are why is Volk still there if he lost? Because he's an animal and he went up.
He lost going up a weight class, and he
probably should have won the fight.
Yes, and he took him down, and he didn't get beat. He lost a decision. He didn't get beat. You know, so make it a 10-rounder.
Could you imagine an MMA fight going 10 rounds?
Oh yeah, fuck it. Go back to no time limit. I want to know what I want to see. I want to see. Fuck, why am I blanking his name? El Kukui, fucking
Fergie.
Yes, Ferguson versus Nate Diaz, no time limit.
Oh man,
1 round, no time limit, and no blood stoppage.
Yeah, man, those two men are wild, man. Could you
imagine? They both get better in the third.
Could you imagine them fighting like 5 years ago?
Right, they both get better the longer the fight goes on. So I mean, we're looking at like an hour-long battle. It'd be rad.
I wouldn't mind just to see him in a grappling match, just because how they are on the ground too, man.
Or even a slap grappling. That new like combat like grappling they have going on, that kind of shit. Hell yeah.
Sport combat grappling rules, absolutely.
Yep. I mean, I think that'd be cool, but no, I think Back to Buck Jones. He definitely, I think, has a harder fight with Sir Gagne, whatever, however.
Yeah, Cyril Gage or however you want to say it, Gagne.
Yeah, Cyril. I honestly think he would have destroyed Nagano.
See, I was in the mind of this. Like, I needed to see two fights. I needed to either see Stipe or I needed to see Francis. Francis left, takes care of itself, but then you make
Stipe maybe 6 years ago.
fair. It's fair.
Like, you know, like
He's been in wars, man. He has been
in wars, but I think, you know, like, but he's been in wars against Cormier, who gets handled by Bones. So, you know what I mean? But no, I really think that honestly, if John Jones was to fight Nagano, 2, maybe 3 oblique kicks, done.
Yeah, John's kicks are something else. It's
his kicks are something else.
I think everyone's so mad at him. It's just he's a special athlete.
Everybody's mad at him because it's the same thing as being mad at NFL stars who fuck up. It's the fact that you're gifted, you have so much going for you, and it's like, oh, you know, like I was sheltered as a child. My dad was a priest or whatever the hell it was, not a priest, obviously, but a pastor. So him and his brothers were sheltered, and now that he has like popularity, he just wilds the fuck out. It's like, be like your brothers. Like, they make more money than you, and you know they're not so much on a bigger stage, but they make more money than you. Like, calm the fuck down, dude. Like, they, you know,
you think the time off has kind of taught him anything?
No, because in the middle of his suspension, he went and that was what, 2 years ago? Or 1 full year ago. It was 2 MMA awards ago when he won like Fighter of the Year or some shit. And then the Metro got called to his hotel room because he's beating the fuck out of his wife in the hotel. And then she didn't press charges and it disappeared. But like, she left the hotel with a fucking black eye or some shit.
The MMA a-hole says, beast of a win, respect. Gotta give it.
You know, like... But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just kind of, you know, he's been suspended. He hasn't fought in what, 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's been.
And that whole thing that happened was, I want to say, a year ago, because I just went to the MMA awards in November.
So you're out there in Vegas, so you get a little bit more privy to more of the combat sports action.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, like, I mean, being out here, you know, like always being a body, I used to get text messages at like 9, 10 in the morning from Forrest Griffin telling me to be in the gym. And I'm like,
that's my man right there.
I'll be there.
I will wholeheartedly be a homer for Forrest Griffin forever. He's the character of a man. He's tough as nails as a dude.
Yeah.
I still think the funny one, I heard of a story of him trying to pick a fight with a road rager, and then they realized it was Forrest, and he still didn't want to. They didn't like, nah, I'm good. He's like, no, I still want to fight you.
Yep. Yeah. That was when he stopped being a state trooper and started being a fucking MMA fighter, and it was post Ultimate Fighter, so everybody knew who he was. But you know, like, yeah,
imagine the state trooper want to pick a fight with you.
Right? Yeah, no, Forrest is a shit. He's
yeah,
cool.
man. Definitely love him.
Huge asshole.
That's my top tier interview right there.
He's a humongous asshole in like the most fun
in the
way.
Fun way though.
Fun way, busting balls 24/7. He never will just let you chill. He will just always talk shit. I also heard like some good ones because my coach, John Wood, and him very close. And I want to say there was like a holiday party where it was Forrest and his wife, John and his wife, and it was like couples, and they were playing some sort of, I don't know. I don't think it was like Cards Against Humanity, but it was some game. Table got thrown. Both of them were in each other's faces, just like overly being fucking dramatic about a video or about a board game. But that's how Forrest is, you know, like the first time when John traveled with me to Ohio for one of my fights, which I think tomorrow is my anniversary of that fight because my time hop's been going crazy on it. John was just like, "Hey, do you mind if I eat something?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Well, you're cutting weight. Like, do you mind if if I have dinner?" I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, I travel with some grumpy people when it comes to cutting weight, and I just don't want to piss you off, And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not Forrest. Like, you can fucking have dinner." And he was like, "Yeah, pretty much is Forrest. Like you, John. Like, no snacks in the room. Like, no nothing but distilled water. Like, just like you, if you want to eat, you better sit in the fucking lobby or eat it on the toilet without me knowing." So yeah, no, Forrest is he's
the
a
nuances
character.
of fighters and their personalities.
Exactly, yeah. But no, he's Forrest is cool shit though. And what's crazy about Forrest is that he took so much time off, like when he retired. He he dropped down. He was probably walking at like 210. Just it's just that's where he's at normally. And he came in one day to MMA practice, and it was wrestling day. He's like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna work out with you guys." And I'm like, "All right, well, he's way smaller. I'm probably like got 40 pounds on him, and he hasn't been doing shit." I'm like, "Yeah, this will be fun." Fuck that. He was still in the same shape as he was when he was preparing for fights. Like, somehow his motor never changes. He's always
he's one of the few dudes I was genuinely overjoyed that he won the title.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, completely.
Like, I know Rampage wasn't too happy about it, but listen, I couldn't have been happier for the guy. Still couldn't be happier for the continued success and things that Forrest does and things of that nature. I think he needs to bring back a version of Bully Beatdown. I do.
It's funny.
I think
I pointed somebody in the direction of Bully Beatdown just like 2 days ago, maybe. Someone was saying like, "Oh, you should they should have a show." And they take all these people that are, like guilty of domestic and like put them in a ring with a fighter and let them beat the fuck out of them. Like, have you not heard of Bully Beatdown? And he's like, "No, what's that?"
I think we need to do like a variation of it too. Like you do like you also get the athletes to confront these Twitter trolls. One. Two, you should still have a version of people being overly bullied and things like that, and get them to kind of agree to a 2-3 round exhibition with an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, Bully Beatdown was cool. Like, I liked the premise of the whole thing, and it was cool too because it was what to do like a kickboxing round, and then like an MMA. I don't know. They kind of broke it up.
Yeah, they broke it up where it was unique and fun. And
it was good. Like
the bullies could make it out of one round,
right? And I always go back to that one, and always reason why I guess that show resonates with me is because I took a short notice fight with Nick Gaston, Afrozilla, who was on I think 3 episodes of that show because he was a big ass dude. So yeah, that's always I'm like whenever I'm talking, I'm like, did you see Bully Beatdown? Like, yeah, and I'm like big black dude with even bigger afro. I'm like, yeah, I fought him on a 4-day notice.
Now, last night's fight, I gotta ask you something.
Okay. Yes,
Aaron Belcher is now the new champion, captures the heavyweight title from Aaron Arnold, and it seems like people are very upset.
Did he though?
Go ahead.
Did he though? Did he capture it?
Oh, here we go.
Did he capture it?
This is what I'm talking about. And there's multiple reasons why people were upset. One, people were upset about the referee feeling like the counts weren't proper and things of that nature.
First knockdown, Belcher, I've seen it a bunch. Was about 12 seconds. Second knockdown, he got 15 seconds. Yes, Arnold was in the way. He was showboating, so therefore it kind of restarted a little bit, but still, he got a full 15 seconds. It's called a standing 8 rule, not a 9.5 fucking rule. The first time Belcher stood up, he literally said 9. He was still on a knee. Every single fight, if it wasn't a title fight, would have been called at that point. Then for him to do it the very next time after getting 15 seconds, his knee was still down. He was like 9, stood up, 10. That's not a standing 8 count. That's a fucking, you didn't, because it's stand up, then you have to show the ref that you're good, then you continue. Again, so I mean, it was 15 seconds. The first time with Adams went down in the first round, questionable slippage, questionable tackle, and like even I think I couldn't make it out, but he even was like when he was counting, he goes, a count, like kind of like questioning like that. You're counting that as a knockdown. And he was fully like he was laughing, he was on the ropes, ha ha ha, whatever. And he's like, oh, a count? And the ref's like, yeah, and he like sprung up. He's like, oh shit. Like, I think he felt that was a slip. He shouldn't have been ruled a knockdown. And for the fact that in the second round, he went down, literally went down. He's like, 5. He had literally from when his knee hit the ground to his 9 count was like 4 seconds. He didn't even get close to a standing 8 count. It was very one-sided. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, though, you shouldn't go. I mean, back to like Hardy, you shouldn't go in being super cocky. Like Adams had the ability to put him away, and he chose not to. I have a feeling they're going to do X-rays. I bet Belcher's like whole orbital and all that shit on his left side is fucked. You know what I mean? Because he got cracked and he immediately was covering his face. And even the announcer said, he's like, oh, yes, he's trying to end the fight because he knows his time is short. Everybody saw it. Adams saw it. And even at that point, Adams was trying, I think, to make a point of him and like still, piece him up and not just put his ass away. He should have put him away. And for that, he left that opening, so, I think that it was just like a little bit of his own doing. But I wholeheartedly say that was terrible, terrible reffing.
Now, I will wholeheartedly not disagree with that, but it's something we've talked about on different stages on all kinds of different combat sports. Refereeing, judging is overall it's just so inconsistent. It's ridiculous, regardless of what state does what or what. We need to get these people out of the sport that are just bad, period. Regardless, right. We're talking about the referees not doing their job, not being fast enough, not being neutral enough, and the same thing that goes for the judges. But that comes down to the people who want to be involved in this sport to actually do something about it. You right. Can go down to your local athletic commission. You could become a judge. You could become a referee. I think that a lot more either former athletes, even fans would be great just because they know that most of them are very, very knowledgeable on what the ins and outs of the sport is. We shouldn't be having these discussions on big level fights like this. It's ridiculous.
Right.
I don't care what the commission says. I don't care if he's contracted to work 200 fights a year and you need to get it. No, I don't care. I want proper people in the cage, in the ring, out of the ring, outside of the cage, whatever. We need real people who knows what's going on because it costs people opportunities, etc. You could even more so, especially with the referees, get somebody hurt.
Right. And I guess a little bit on that. Did you see the show last month? Maybe it was a heavyweight show or heavyweight fight, and like it was a very glancing, not too close, but the guy kind of had his knee down and he got hit and they DQ'd him. Did you see that one?
It's just weird. It's just like some guys are they're just really particular on things. I get that. It's right. The same thing like when you're talking about umpires in baseball, how they literally have spreadsheets of how they go about things.
Yeah,
but we shouldn't have to get to that in combat sports too. Where
you shouldn't. But the thing is, though, is that the guy got DQ'd for hitting a downed opponent, and it was suspect because there's been other people
throwing multiple punches and landing, and them just calling the fight that it's a knockout,
right? Or just letting it continue. This one, I was talking to one of my training partners, and this was a heavyweight fight. Both of the heavyweights, they don't have much of a future. Neither of them look like shit, or they both look like crap. So I think that they used them as like a, hey, we will DQ you. Like they were the example. So that happened. Last night, there were several punches landed with a knee down. And I didn't even get to see the whole card. I was working last night, so I tuned in here and there, and I think I saw 3 different fights where someone had a knee down and they hit him. In the Adams fight, he got hit with a knee questionably down. There was another fight where there was a knee down, fight ended, and it was like, okay, would it have ended without that late hit? Or did that late hit cause the person to not answer the standing 8 count? And then there was another one where it was a late hit, but the guy stood up. It didn't stop the fight on that moment. But there was like 3 different occasions where it was bigger offenses than the fight where the guy got DQ'd and nothing was done. Not even a fucking warning. It was just...
I don't think they should give warnings with that. They should just take a point, period. Right?
Right. No, exactly. They should take a point.
Like I get it. You don't want to cause the stoppage of a fight on that manner. Then you need to give them more of a thing that if they go that, like if they're able to recover from that and go the distance, you're screwed on points.
Right, exactly. But I also think though, if you hit somebody, if someone's going to knee down, you're starching them. They're done. They go down and then you hit them and then they cannot continue. I mean, if anything, it should just be a fucking draw. Like it should be a DQ. Like that person isn't going to win because there's no way.
If it's incidental, I say there should be a draw. I had a big thing about draws last night. I don't think in combat sports or anything like that we should still have this thing where there's no winner or loser. You guys,
I think
put in too much.
Just so that you're aware, most of the stop it.
There's a clause. I know there's a clause in your contract, isn't there?
There's a clause that says that this fight won't end in a draw. Like my fight wasn't going to end in a draw. It's certain fights. I don't think that the fights earlier in the card.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Right. Those ones don't get that only because of airtime. Like you can't sit there and be like, hey, we'll do an extra round. And then coincidentally, every single fight goes the distance and then you'll have extra rounds. And it makes the card go super duper long. Whereas at the end of the card, everybody's invested and, it's a higher profile fight. They're not going to let it go into a draw. I kind of agree with it only because of just airing how it works so it doesn't get all drawn out. I've been part of cards that last like 6 fucking hours.
Because every one of them went to the decision.
Right. And by the end of it, people are like stir crazy. And then you get like as a fan, you were there to see someone fight who fights, and there's like 5 fights left, and they're like, I've been here for hours. I'm fucking leaving. So by the time the main event happens, it's the place is empty other than the people who were there specifically for that fight. So not saying people would physically leave.
I understand the pacing point of it. I'm like I said, I'll always be pro athlete, so I'll always argue that point. Like I get why you do it on the undercards and things of that nature, but at the same time, you guys all put in the same amount of time, sacrifice, etc.
Right.
For the most part, you know what I mean? So
right, and then you have the other side of it. It's like, well, don't let it get to that point.
It's easier said than done sometimes.
Right? No, of course, 100%. Like you can get starched in the first round and get dropped and have a 10-8 round, and then win the next 2 rounds, and it's like, well, you were building momentum, you had a bad start. Now we're in a draw, which sucks.
Maybe that's something they should put it in. Like if you had one of those things where it was like you had a 10-8 and you wound up coming back and winning the next 2 because the fact that you won 2 rounds, but the points didn't air out your way.
So back in the day when I fought in Massachusetts, they just did 2 4-minute rounds. That was MMA. You had 2 rounds. You win both rounds, you win the fight. If it was even after 2 rounds, you went to a 3rd round. It was always that way. Like it was 50-50. Like either you were winning or you were losing. And if it was even, it's like, all right, cool, we're doing a 3rd round. Like you never really knew. You always trained for 3 rounds. Just in case.
I always thought amateur MMA is definitely flies by the seat of their pants at times.
Well, that was pro. Those were pro rules.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I want to say amateur was 3 threes.
Oh man. But
yeah.
I guess the next thing before we get ready to wrap things up is what's next, man. Obviously, you get the big win, you get the signature win now. You have your own kind of moment on top of your own mountain. Who or what would be next for you? I mean, obviously, biggest win of your career, biggest moment of your career. Obviously, you're picking and choosing what's gonna be the last few steps as you get to the end of your career.
Right.
Is it going to be whoever they offer, or do you have someone in mind?
I don't have anybody in mind. I mean, it's what they offer. It's it's who's ready. I know I've been told a bunch that there's a fight waiting for me April 29th. But I don't know if that'll
pan out.
Happen.
Whether it'll pan out or not.
Right, mainly because of yeah, Tony, of course. Of course.
Tony says he's next.
He would. He's trying to pick a fight with the entire roster, the whole roster. Next, you're going to have me being photoshopped on as a baby, being carried by him. Better be in a fucking baby Bjorn. That's all I know. Yeah, no, it all depends. Like I can't get punched probably for a solid month because of these stitches. That's got to heal up. But April 29th is 10-ish weeks away. It is potentially enough time, but love you too. But we'll see. Like the fight that they want me to have, like, cool. If they really want me to have that fight, then they'll be okay with pushing it back some time. And if they are just looking to have that person fight, they don't care who it is, then find some other super heavyweight to fill that role.
Well, I hope you get that fight. I hope it's the one that kind of pans out. It's one of these things where like we were talking about you're at the point. It's enjoying the moment. It's enjoying the ride. Hopefully you get to not only go out the way you want to, but get the fights you want to in the locations you want to.
Right.
Get able to write your the ending to your own story, so to speak.
Exactly.
But I know you got a lot of stuff going on. We're kind of like a little over with the time we were wanting to go. So okay. Josh, always appreciate the time. Appreciate the love coming back on here again. Like I said, we knew we were going to run it back after the fight as it was anyways.
Right.
Appreciate you getting back on here so quickly. Heal up. Let's find out with this big fight that you're talking about, and well, how we do the end here is throw it over to you. Anyone like to thank trainer partners, teammates?
Yeah, I mean,
anything you got, it's on you.
Yeah, my coach, he came up with a hell of a plan. Always coming up with the best ways to win. My training partner really won, George. He fucking sticking it through and dealing with me throwing his ass around nonstop. But it's the support system. It's everybody who's there pushing me, making me want to do better, making me want to do right by them, and causing that anxiety for me to perform for them. Those are the ones I'm fighting for.
Last one. Are you gonna trademark Stay Down? Get some merch out there.
It's funny, as I meant to do that a while ago. I actually thought about doing a whole entire clothing line of like stay down fight gear kind of shit, and it just didn't come to fruition. I know there's a clothing. It's funny because it's actually out here in Vegas. A certain club trademarked Stay Down by itself, but it's like, cool, I can do Stay Down fight gear. And I don't know how deep that goes, or if that's just them bullying it or whatever.
I gotta put that up there. You're nuts, brother. I love you. Oh man.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been running with it for a while. I mean, I got a shit ton of shirts and everything to say Stay Down on it, and that's basically what we're running with, and that's what it is.
Well, as always, Josh, appreciate the time. Heal up. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I gotta leave for work in half hour. I got a lot to do in the next half hour. So
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get you off here. I knew we were pushing it close. So
no worries.
Appreciate the time. Best of skill in the hopefully the coming fights, and we'll get you back on here, brother.
Hell yeah, thank you.
All right, Josh, have a good one, my friend.
Take it easy.
All right, everyone. That was the one and only BKFC heavyweight, the man himself, Mr. Joshua Watson. It was another fun interview. Always putting some fun stuff together. Appreciate everyone hopping in the chat, especially my man Tony. We gotta get you on the show one of these days. We gotta work out, if not Fridays, one of the athlete spotlights and get you on here, busting it up. We gotta get some of that humor live on air, my friend. You got to get it out there. So appreciate Josh's time this evening. Appreciate everyone hopping in the chat both today and last night for the Combat Deviants episode. We'll be back, working on some more fun special interviews. Also, other content with Combat Deviants, with Belly Up Sports. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow on all your platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that fun stuff. IG. Show us some love. We're going to get ready to do a lot of fun stuff, merch giveaways. We're going to be launching some new shows, stuff like that. So stay locked in, smash that notification bell, and we will see you guys next Friday, maybe at some point in time next week for another spotlight.